I'm here, Wade.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. So yeah. So the question that you asked, was it last night or this morning, or yesterday afternoon about duplicates? Let's talk about that. And I'm not sure. Do you want to explain a bit about what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, I am looking to find out what I want to compare our print collection, what we have in print, to what we have in what we have electronically for ebooks, to see if any of the titles that we have in our print collection are also available as an ebook.
Yeah, and are these generally to Kara's best point about, I mean, whether the holdings are on the same title record or different title records?
This would probably be different records. These just the electronic collection. So I don't know how that would be, how the comparison would be done. It's just whatever print titles we have in Alma, and then compare it to the ebooks that we subscribe to.
Yeah, well, I responded on the list, not too long before this meeting, so you probably haven't seen it, but the challenge there is, what are you going to use as a match point between the two?
Yeah.
You know, that they may have the same ISBN, they may have different ISBNs, they may have the same title, they may have different titles. So it's kind of challenging, I think. A good place to start, and here I'll share my screen. Find it. Yeah, so I'm just in Edmunds, haven't made Edmunds Alma right now, but under resources, advanced tools, duplicate title analysis is a quick way to compare titles in your institutional zone by ISBN, ISSN, other standard identifier, system control number. And so, you know, and that would be like OCLC number. I'm not sure what other standard identifier, what fields that will search, but like if you just start one way, yeah, a quick and dirty thing you can look at is to run this by ISBN and see, and just submit that. And it does it, you know, none of our collections are hundreds of thousands of records in the institutional zone, so it should run pretty quickly. And actually, I just as a quick reminder, to myself, I already ran this in Edmunds, and oh wait, no. We can look at a result. Oh, I just got an email, so it must have just finished. Oh, resources, so duplicate title analysis. So after it runs, you can look at job history. See, I ran it twice this morning. Should be the same results each time. So if you look at a report, it'll give you a report to download. There's 345 duplicates. And here is the duplicate list, and what it's showing you is where the report found duplicates in ISBN, and this is what some of these don't look like. I guess those look like ISBNs. I don't know. So it's giving you titles where the ISBN is the same. So Sometimes that'll be, and I mean, you could run this in your environments even while I'm talking if you wanted to, just to see what kind of results it gives you. But like you'll get, duplicates of the same electronic book, probably because it's in a couple of different collections. You might get a number of, like here's a number of duplicates that are all physical books. And those, so those, this is finding duplicate titles. So that title is in the institutional zone 4 times, not clear why, maybe different versions, or I don't know, but what you would be looking for this task is to, find, and I think I saw a few in here. You want to find oh, here's a good one. So American Film and Digital Age, here, this actually is, looks like Edmunds has this both in electronic and physical. And those records share, they have the same ISBN. So let's look at that. So I'm going to take that title, go back into, so here, here we can see that. Ooh, let's see. I was on the community tab, so I'm going to institutional tab because that should be where the duplicate is. Yeah, and so you can see that there's a physical copy of this book by Sickles, it looks like, and then also electronic copy. So that so that report did identify one that of the kind of thing that Tracy's looking for. And then if since we have duplicates here, we can look and see what number is it? If we go back, so 275, what number did I, let's see. I want to identify which, oh yeah, so that's that ISBN number there is the one that matches between those two records. And you could run that report like we could just, since it doesn't take very long, another way to do it would be to run that same duplicate title analysis on, let's try system control number. And this is just, yeah, we'll do that calculate. We don't actually need that. So give that a sec to run. I just want to see how much difference this makes in what duplicates it finds. So running that report on the different options might find slightly different duplicates, because some titles might have the same ISBN, other titles might have the same OCLC number, but not ISBN. So it's, and I'm not sure how to, yeah, you could use VLOOKUP or something to try to, there's probably things you could do in Excel to make this easier to parse out. So you just quickly see the, like, oh, here's another one, fast food, physical and electronic are the same thing, or the same ISBN. So there's another example. So that one's done. because I heard my email, job completion email. So here's the one based on system number. Let's see if there was anything. Still found the same number. Again, I'm not sure what that was. We'll check that in a sec. Let that run. But anyways, that's a quick cut. That's one way to do it. Overlap and collection analysis is generally for kind of comparing sets of portfolios more than titles. But if we do selected titles, if you created and I'm just thinking out loud how to use this to achieve what we're trying to achieve here. Yeah, I guess you could create a file of your physical titles and then compare them to your institutional zone electronic resources, and that would be a way to do it. I don't remember off the top of my head what form this file takes, probably a spreadsheet. Set comparison, let's see. Yeah, okay, so this one is going to do electronic to electronic. So that option we couldn't use, but selected titles, if you did an export of the titles in your physical titles in your institutional zone, then you could compare it with electronic resources in the institutional zone. And if we do quick help here, again, off the top of my head, I don't remember what format that select file. Yeah, match titles. With a selected titles analysis, which we were just looking at, you can determine matching titles that exist more than once in the institutional zone. So that's exactly what we want to do. So then it contains unique identifiers. So you can do it by ISBN, ISSN, LCCN, or title. And that's sort of the match point of last result when you have, if they don't have matching control numbers like ISBN, then it's going to be kind of a challenge because title matching is pretty spotty at best. That's why my response on this kind of alluded to the fact that it's going to get a little iffy there. So any questions so far? And I assume this thing's still. And let's testing. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure my mic was working. So just if we go into analytics and look at first, I want to look at that report you looked at, Tracy, because I don't remember it.
It was in there. I forget where I found it in there. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was under collection development. No, that wasn't it.
Weeding. Oh yeah, weeding probably. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, duplicate of the same titles with electronic portfolios and physical items. So that's the one. Yeah, what I wanted to do is look at what this query is doing. So as that has active electronic portfolio is equal to yes, has physical items is equal to yes, number of items of the product. Yeah. So this is looking at, yeah, so this is what I thought it was. This is looking at single titles in Alma that have both physical and electronic. That's on a per title basis. So I don't know if we did. Yeah. So to find to do a query that would find different titles that have both physical and electronic. I think I'd have to think about that. I don't think I can come up with something off the top of my head. You'd have to. I'm not sure how that would go. But I mean, that's basically what's built in to this duplicate title analysis that we looked at. Again, it's kind of that this one doesn't give you title, which would be, oh, not found. Yeah, I guess. All of those options seem to find the same results in Edmund's environment. Probably because they're all considering ISBN. I didn't try ISSN because that's not what we're really, that's journals, so that's not really what we're looking for. Yeah, I mean, and there's some good questions about, you know, more library practices. Why are you looking for these? What do you want to do with them? I assume this is a weeding exercise that if you have it in electronic, maybe you're thinking about getting rid of the physical. You know, another reason might be if you wanted to merge the physical and electronic onto the same title record. Where you might want to do that is, I don't know, you guys tell me. That's more of a cataloger's question. What are you trying to achieve with the records? What are you trying to communicate? How are you trying to manage your collection? From my perspective, you might merge on a single title record if you've bought standalone copies of an ebook that aren't part of a community zone collection, and maybe you also have physical, and you would want for whatever reason, you would want it on the same title record. For anything that's part of a collection that you buy as like a subscription collection, I would never merge those, I don't think, with physical title records, because you want to keep those as part of an electronic collection that you can manage without kind of impacting what you're doing on the physical record side. You don't want any like bulk things you do in electronic collection to affect physical title records that you have. I think that's the. Does anybody have other thoughts on that or comments on how at your library you think about that?
Yeah, we do keep them separate. And of course they don't merge like in Primo, which is annoying for users, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's when I was thinking about merging things, SJ. They would, if it's a title activated in the institutional zone, they'll merge if they have the same, if they're close enough in metadata to merge. They won't, like if you have a title record in Alma and the ebook is actually a community zone or a CDI citation, then they won't merge. But if it's a community zone citation, they should merge if they're close enough together.
Right. Well, we have local records, which don't.
You have local
records that we've downloaded from OCLC. So those
like local ebook records.
Yeah, for perpetual purchases.
And you have the physical as well. Like
yes, and those do merge.
Yeah.
But of course those don't merge with the ebook subscriptions in the packages.
Well, like I say, I think if it's activated in the institutional zone, it should merge. I think, right? It's the CDI citations that won't merge with something in the institutional zone, and of course it won't merge if there's not a match point, and that's so like if we. Oh, actually, let's just, since we've got like from this is a good Edmunds example, we can actually test this real quick because where did I find the, oh yeah, American Film and the Digital Age. Let's take a look at this in the Edmunds Primo. So we found this title that's both electronic and physical in the Edmunds collection. Yeah, here. And so in this case, we did get let's make sure of that, but yeah, so we did get that merged under a single record because there was an easy match point. Those records share an ISBN number. Now, if they were different ISBN numbers, and that's where, if they're not easily identified, like in this list, then they won't merge in Primo, and that's kind of probably SJ, what happens with your, like if the the OCLC records may have a proper ESSN or like a different ISBN number for the electronic version. Instead of like a book coming from, where is this one coming from? eBook Central, Perpetual, where if the title record that they use on is eBook Central, is that ProQuest or is that EBSCO?
That's ProQuest.
Yeah, so they may have reused a physical title record in the ProQuest collection, which is why it conveniently has the same ISBN as the local physical copy. I mean, that's something like that. It might be going on.
So this is Cara Beth. I was thinking that if I see duplicate records or what looks like duplicate records in Primo that aren't merged, I can possibly add, I can just pull an EISBN number and add it to the local record.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The hard part would be finding those records, but that's where that list that you just showed would help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you're right. It's kind of like it's what's the most efficient thing to do in terms of work versus actual impact. Like if it happens to be something in your reserves collection that gets a lot of use for a particular course, then maybe manually editing it to make sure they merge is worth doing.
Wade, this is Melinda. One of the things that we ran into in our digital, well, actually, I think it was a physical record that we were dealing with, was the integration of syndetics, which I'm guessing everybody's using, but they may not be using syndetics. But the order in which the ISBNs are in that 020 field, we're pulling, like if you have an EISSN or ISBN number in there, it will try and pull the picture. Or if there's, let's say, a 2014 version, but you just bought the 2016 version, but the bib record was just updated as opposed to, when you copied it over. It pulls, synthetic seems to pull from the top down. And so we ended up having some record issues in terms of our pictures. So like putting the like somehow making sure that if you do have the EISSN or ISBN, sometimes you want to make sure they're not the first one, because they don't always pull the right pictures, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. A couple of follow-ups on that, Melinda. So do you have a standalone subscription with Syndetics, or when you say Syndetics, what are you?
Yeah, we have to pay for Syndetics separately.
And where do you use it?
It integrates with Primo.
Because it's probably something you want to consider canceling unless you're doing something differently with it as well, because we don't have our Alma Primo contract doesn't carry a separate Syndetics thing just for this. I think these come from Google usually. I mean and sometimes Syndetics, like this one. I'm just looking at source code, and this image is coming from Syndetics. I know sometimes they come from Google, but I don't think you need that for. Well, you do have a separate Primo contract, so something we can talk about.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, it's one of those things that we've always had it, so we've kept it because we were told that's what it did. So,
Yeah.
is that it provided all of the pictures and some of the some of the extra metadata in terms of link outs and
Yeah,
stuff.
and yeah, it may, yeah, there may be other features that that exist or that it offers that are in there that are part of the paid subscription. Or it may just be part of your Primo contract. Good question or good thing to bring up. Yeah, and as far as come to think of it, the Primo contracts that most of our institutions have are directly with ex libris and not a group contract. So I don't know if those reference synthetics or not. I'll look into it. But yeah, in terms of cover art accuracy is not not guaranteed. I don't know how much it happens now, but when I was more directly managing a specific Primo instance on a day-to-day basis, that we would, and I don't know if you guys see this, but you get titles where the cover art is completely wrong, not remotely the same book, and it just has to do with metadata accuracy, reuse of ISBNs, weird stuff that happens in the metadata universe. So I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that.
We've got like a library thing widget book cover product, and I have no idea what we're doing with that. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Oh, I see. You have, yeah. So Shoreline has some kind of paid subscription to library thing that gives you book art, maybe, and maybe reviews. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a thing, and I'm more familiar with it from public libraries, but things like, who used to do the, reading reference stuff, like, I'm trying to think of it. I can picture the icon, but I can't, the exact name of the product escapes my mind, but like reading guidance, like if you read this, then you might like to read this. There are some subscription products like that, and I think Syndetics, some of their offerings, give you access to reviews. So you'll see public libraries where, in their search results in their local ILS, there'll be links to reviews that get sourced from Syndetics, that Syndetics federates those from whatever review sources it has.
Well, I think what we've got is a book cover widget, and I don't know like how we're using it.
Yeah. So, or maybe, and it's maybe something you could cancel. Save a few $100 a year or something. Yeah, it's like, it seems like the book cover art used to be harder to get without paying for a subscription product. And then it seemed like, there was I had one thing that I'd written at Puget Sound to like a API, or it was sort of a mashup of API, just some custom code, and it pulled cover art from Google. It seemed like Google at one point made cover art easy and free to get, even though I don't know what the copyright or the actual reuse of that stuff is actually legal, but I don't know if anybody's really. I think probably for this level of cover art, Ex Libris probably has a signed agreement with Syndetics to obviously they wouldn't be using this in their product if they didn't know they had the right to use it. So anyways. So that's all about the electronic versus physical, and I'll spend some cycles thinking about trying to tease out those more challenging matches if it's possible in analytics to find matches not based on something simple like ISBN or OCLC. It would have to be like title, but then how close if like in some cases it might work, in some cases title might not work, like American Film and the Digital Age will work. I think these two, yeah, these have the exact same title, so these should match on title as well. But anyways,
I think there are more complicated things going on sometimes. When we had, I don't know that, I don't think community zone and local records are supposed to dedupe, like, when we had local ebook records and community zone records, and I like tweaked ISBNs, like that did not make them dedupe.
well, here's I just pasted a link to this page, which provides all the gory detail about how the fervor and the dedupe work. And so you could, there's actually a tool in like just like we're just using that overlap analysis tool. There is a dedupe and fervor test utility where you can actually test a couple of records to see why or why not, why they match or why they don't match. And then so that might be, there's something for you to read at night, SJ. Everything about dedupe and fervor. It's a pretty complicated process. So
I could be wrong. It's happened before.
yeah, I mean, and it's not, the fervor and dedupe aren't as simple as that report we were running, where it's just more of a yes or no, that the dedupe and fervor use those calculated keys. So if they, it could be something like they have matching ISBNs, but I don't, maybe it doesn't stop. Maybe it doesn't stop there. Maybe if an author's name is spelled differently, then maybe that breaks the dedupe, something like that. So
It's definitely more complicated than just ISBNs.
yeah. So that's I don't think I can. I don't think I have anything more to say on that one. We have. I don't know what. There's about 15 minutes left. I don't know if I want to dive into RSS just because it would take a little longer to shift gears and. and talk through that again. Any topics you guys want to address? Nicole, you mentioned your notice, your if statement in your notices. We can. Is that anything you want to ask about or take a look at? That might be interesting.
Nicole had to leave early, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I got you. Oh, was that her? Oh, I saw somebody saying they needed to go. Just checking to see who's still on.
I probably can go back and find it, but I don't know if anybody else attended. There was a Ferber and DDEP Ex Libris webinar that happened, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, where they really went in depth in all of this. If anybody wants me to try and find that link, I can try and see if I can find it.
Oh, I think, Belinda, it might be the one linked at the top of this documentation page, the Becoming an Expert series. This might be it.
Yeah, that may be it.
Let's see. I was just gonna look and see if this one has a date on it. Yeah, I don't see a date on that posting, but I'm guessing that's probably at 40 minutes. That's about right. Becoming an Expert series, that sounds about. And then there's a quick and dirty one, 2 minutes. Yeah, the most challenging thing with dedupe and Ferber is that the CDI doesn't get deduped. So anything, article citations don't get deduped. And sometimes if you have ebook title records coming from the CDI, those will not get deduped with anything you have activated from a CZ collection or anything in the institutional zone. Just an announcement for the September Alma release. That's going to be one of those background or system side releases, so we won't see much new in terms of feature sets in the September release of Alma to talk about. So that's sometimes that's nice not to have. The feature set and stay static for a month or so. Otherwise, I know that the discussion on, there's been fairly broad discussion on library about, I think people are getting worried about the return of COVID and whether that's going to throw a monkey wrench in all the reopening plans for the fall. So if I'm happy to talk with you guys at any time on an individual basis for reviewing fulfillment rules as you adjust to opening again or readjust to closing again, or whatever adjustments you need to make to fulfillment rules, especially as it relates to changing library hours and all that. And then otherwise, if we just have a few minutes left, if nobody has anything new they'd like to introduce, we could go ahead and wrap up there. All right, thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate the time and attention. I'll pull together the recording and the meeting notes and post them to the site. And meanwhile, there's a couple of things that I'll think about. Synthetics contracting and the the analysis for finding the trickier duplicates between physical and electronic. All right, thanks again. Have a good day, everyone.